The big breaking story that we're tracking at this point in time comes in concerning the line of actual control between India and China. While the Chinese troops have remained in the Pangong area and also around Depsang, there are signs of hectic infrastructural development and improvements in the radar station all along the line of actual control in the last few weeks. New camps have been reportedly detected in not just Ladakh but worryingly in the Chumbi Valley area as well, which almost divides Sikkim and Bhutan. These reports and satellite images coming in of massive buildup along the line of actual control going as far as even the Sikkim-Bhutan border. And remember, all this is happening at a time when various military and diplomatic level engagements are underway between India and China to make sure that the Chinese back off from the area that they had come to earlier. Let's go across to our National Affairs editor, Srinjoy Chaudhary, who's joining me with more inputs on the story. Srinjoy, it was only yesterday that CDS General Rawat had said that military option is pretty much on table if China doesn't really go back to its earlier position, if talks fail. It seems that the assessment of situation at LAC is far more serious even now.
Yes, the situation is very serious. At the end of the day, let's not forget that since May, and this is already August, which means that several months have passed, the Chinese are still clinging on to Indian territory, whether it's at Pangong, whether it's at Depsang, whether it's one or two other places. The important point is that at Pangong and Depsang, the Chinese are in Indian territory. If the Chinese are in Indian territory, and there have been talks going on for a long time, from the beginning of perhaps June or so, then it's important that the Chinese actually move out of Indian territory and let the settlement. So that is the point that has been made by General Bipin Rawat, who is the Chief of Defence Staff, that if all diplomatic options fail, if all talks fail, he said one of the options left will be a military option. Let's not forget that military options apart, there has been a clash between Indian and Chinese troops, and at least 20 Indians have died in that clash. 20
That's right.
Indians and a large number of Chinese soldiers.
We are yet to get over that clash, and in the middle of it, these reports are coming in of another massive buildup. I want to bring in Hina Gambhir as well. Hina, with the help of a map, perhaps you can help us understand what are the areas of concern.
Well, this is the information that Srinjoy Chaudhary has sent to us. Let's try and explain to our viewers what really is happening and what is the cause of concern. So, along the LAC, more and more hectic infrastructural development is something that is being seen. And what's even more significant now is what's happening near Sikkim. We'll tell you about that in just a bit. But this is important. Rodok area east of Ladakh, 2 new camps have been built. This is the new information that we have for you. And then Chumbi Valley that divides Sikkim and Bhutan in a way has also got a lot of activity happening. Just look at this particular area. PLA camp in Chumbi Valley that has now come up, building bunkers inside the construction. That's also Dejabu area of Chumbi Valley. That's something that has been seen as well. In Tibet, 2 buildings have come up. In fact, you know what's important to note is that the construction of these camps, these huts, these bunkers has been going on since last couple of months. And over the last few weeks, we have seen an acceleration in the activity, and this is also very, very important. North of Jammu and Kashmir, a watchtower is under construction. This is what the Indian side has spotted, and this is definitely this kind of construction activity that's going on is going to be very, very closely watched by the Indian authorities here in New Delhi.
All right, let me now, Srinjoy shortly will also be joined by our consulting editor Maruf Raza. But before that, I want you to explain to us what has really, essentially not worked for the two sides when it comes to engaging through talks over the last couple of months. We were given to believe that at every level, effort is being made and China is being, cooperative at several levels to withdraw. But now, how come we are seeing this massive infrastructural development along the LAC?
Well, the infrastructure development has been going on, and this is not just in Ladakh. This is all across the line of actual control. You heard Hina speak about the Chumbi Valley. There are 2 areas in the Chumbi Valley where this is happening, and this is very simple. regardless of whether the Chinese stay or go, they have decided that on their side of the line of actual control, they will build up their strength. So whether it's in the Chumbi Valley, whether it's opposite Bhutan, whether it's opposite Sikkim, whether it's opposite Arunachal Pradesh, whether it's in Ladakh, at this point, we are getting reports of infrastructural development, better camps, better, as you said, concrete emplacements, bunkers, and so on. Also, importantly, what we find is that the radar systems in all these areas are being built up. We have come across at least 6 cases where the radar systems are being developed. Supposing there is 1 radar system, the idea is to build in 3. So that kind of thing, the additions of radomes, of new radars, all this is happening all across the line of actual control. In the Jammu and in Ladakh, most certainly, even in Xinjiang, in parts of Xinjiang, which is north of Jammu and Kashmir, opposite Bhutan, opposite Sikkim, opposite Arunachal, the Chinese have been very busy building up infrastructure, building radars.
And I think that is the biggest cause of worry, that earlier we were concentrating only in Ladakh, but like Hina pointed out a short while back, it goes all the way from North Kashmir to the Bhutan-Sikkim border. Let me go across to Mr. Arasan Singh, who's joining me now on the phone line. Arasan Singh, just look at the graphic that we are at the moment playing out on our screens, and the Chinese misadventure at the LAC is not limited to only Ladakh now. We have reports coming in that it goes all the way from North Kashmir till Tibet border, and it's not just about building bunkers, but they are building radar towers and other several facilities, essentially adopting a very aggressive stand at LAC.
No, I see this entire issue from 2 perspectives. I mean, this Chinese aggression. One is the China-Pakistan economic corridor, then China-Nepal corridor, and then China, Bangladesh, that is Chumbi-Chittagong corridor. One is that. And the second is, of course, I mean, it's a part of, they want to dissuade us from the Indo-Pacific strategy. So remember one thing I have always said, and I am willing to stick my neck out, that something will happen. If something happens in the South China Sea, it will have its impact here on the mountains. And if something happens on the mountains, it will have impact on the, in the Indo-Pacific region, including the South China Sea. So this is not going to de-escalate any soon. The stakes are very high. The stakes are very global for China and as well as for India. Remember, we are basically America.
Obviously, we understand these tactics from China, Mr. Arasan Singh. My worry is that what has not worked when it comes to engaging with China in a peaceful dialogue. You think that strategy is not going to serve us good for long?
No, I think the message from the Chief of Defence Staff was very clear. And when Chief of Defence Staff says that, we will exercise the military option only when talks fail, was a very, very, I said a very, strong message, a departure from the past. And it also shows that
is for the first time that you have a top officer actually coming out and making a very strong statement. Thanks very much, Mr. Arasan Singh, for speaking on the subject for us. Let me go across to our consulting editor, Maruf Raza, as well. Maruf, just look at this massive Chinese buildup at the LAC. Did you anticipate this going by the way reports were emerging related to military level and diplomatic level talks between the two countries?
Yes, actually, Colonel Arasan obviously made some very pertinent points, but I'd like to go more specific down to what is happening right now. The first thing is that ever since the Chinese news came in about the Chinese incursions, I have been saying, and I have written that extensively, including on the Times Now website, to say that the Chinese are there to stay. Now, if you don't read the writing on the wall, or as I would say, the writing on the LAC or the McMahon line, then we have a bunch of, blind men who are leading us as General Sundarji had said in his book, The Blind Men of Hindustan. Now, the problem is threefold. One, we have been talking to the Chinese for decades, and talks per se has led to not even exchange of maps, particularly the map, which is the LAC part of the map. The maps are basically the sectors are divided into three sectors: Western sector, Middle sector, Eastern sector. Now, the Western sector is what the Chinese regard as the LAC area. There have been at least 3 instances in history where the Chinese have given us proposals. One when Pandit Nehru was Prime Minister, one subsequent to Pandit Nehru when very senior diplomats of the Indian Foreign Office did not want to reconsider the subject after the humiliation of 62, thinking it would betray the legacy of Nehru. And finally, at the time in the 1990s, when our Prime Minister visited China, another map was shown. We have an ostrich-like attitude. We have not even wanted to discuss alternate options on how to address the LAC. You don't do that. Then Chinese and the Indians follow a simple rule.
But that ostrich-like attitude that you accuse them of seems to be changing now with the statement from General Rawat coming in yesterday, who openly spoke about the fact that military option is pretty much on table if talks fail. Unfortunately, Maruf, that's all the time I really had in this segment. Thank you very much for joining us with your inputs on that, and thanks Hina as well for getting us all those details on the story.